Hey there, fighters that want to be smiters and healers that want to be damage dealers. Welcome back to Dragons and Dice, and today we're breaking down those people that channel divinity oh so well. It's time to break down the Cleric and the Paladin. Welcome to Dragons and Dice. Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're going to be breaking down the new Cleric and Paladin, but first I want to do a little public service announcement. Last episode I was asked where the term MacGuffin came from, and I didn't know, so I've looked it up, and for those of you that are curious, it is attributed to Alfred Hitchcock, but some people say it was actually coined by one of his screenwriters, Angus MacPhail. It may have originated in Scotland from the term MacGuffin, which means foolish, blundering person, or oaf. So I hope that clears up any questions people had about the term MacGuffin. And without any further ado, let's hop into the new Cleric. Alright, this one is a good bit different starting off. At level 1, you no longer get your domain. They've moved that to level 3 so it's even with all the other classes, subclasses. And this is going to stop people from dipping that one level into Cleric to grab up a domain and all the old school front-loaded stuff from the Cleric class. Level 1 also comes with a new feature called Divine Order. You pick to be a protector or a thaumaturge. As a protector, you're going to get proficiency with martial weapons and you're going to get the heavy armor training. And with a thaumaturge, you're going to get an extra cleric cantrip and you get to add your wisdom mod to arcana and religion checks. This is going to be interesting because it's going to make clerics be a little more diversified. Right off the start, you're going to have to pick whether or not you want to be the armored, in the thick of it, like battle healer, or if you want to be more of the backline priest. If you pick the thaumaturge, you only get light and medium armor and shield, and you also only get the simple weapons. So no more heavy armor and shields, and stand back if you want to be more on the caster line of clerics. At level 2, you get your channel divinity, and you get 2 of these at the start, but they aren't linked with your domain. The first is called Divine Spark. And the way this works is you point your holy symbol at a creature that's within 30 feet of you, and you roll a d8 plus your wisdom mod, and you heal it for that much. Or you can make a con saving throw, and if it fails, you can deal that much radiant or necrotic damage to it. The next is the old standby of Turn Undead, but it's gotten so much better now. If the creature fails the wisdom saving throw that it has to make, it is now frightened and incapacitated, so it can't take actions or move. And this is nice because the old frightened, the undead would just flee forever. Now it lets you just kind of lock them in place, deal with them when you want to. Starting at level 3, you're going to get to pick your domain, and the 3 that you get to pick from are the Life, Light, Trickery, and War, and we'll go over each of those individually. Level 4 is going to be the good old stat point increase or take a feat. Level 5, they have changed Destroy Undead into Sear Undead. This is one of those abilities that used to be kind of meh. No one really used it all that much because at level 5 you could destroy an undead that was a 1/2 CR and it didn't scale that well. The way they've changed it, when you use Sear Undead now, you roll d8s equal to your wisdom mod, and each undead that fails the save takes radiant damage equal to the roll. So you could really dole out some damage with this. Starting off at level 1, you're probably going to have a 16 wisdom as a cleric, so this is going to be 3 d8s right off the rip, which is pretty nice. Okay, at level 7, you get to pick again, and this is a new one. It used to be just an open level up, which was always so lame. You get to pick from Divine Strike or Potent Spellcasting, and if you pick Divine Strike, once per turn, you get to add a d8 of radiant or necrotic damage to a melee attack, and Potent Spellcasting lets you add your Wisdom mod whenever you deal damage with your cleric cantrips, so nice little bump to damage on both sides there. Level 10 used to be Divine Intervention, and you no longer get to cast that Hail Mary anymore. They've changed it a bunch, so you don't have to hope for that really good high percentile roll. Now you just get to use an action and cast a cleric spell of level 5 and down that is not a reaction, and it doesn't use a spell slot or take materials. So you basically just get a free level 5 spell, which I think is really nice upgrade. I was never a big fan of the Divine Intervention. At level 10, you have a 10% chance, and at level 20, you have a 20% chance. I feel like just a free level 5 spell is a big upgrade to that. The level 14 feature is Improved Blessed Strikes, and this keeps the pick that you made earlier, whether you took Divine Strikes or Potent Spellcasting. The Divine Strike goes up by a d8, so you get 2 d8s on your melee attacks. The Potent Spellcasting is a little bit different boost. When you deal damage with your Cleric cantrips, you can give yourself or another creature within 60 feet of you temp HP equal to 2 times your Wisdom mod. So that'd be a nice little bump of temporary HP. Your Wisdom mod's probably +4, +5 at this point in the game, so you're getting 8 to 10 temporary HP every time you use a cantrip. Pretty nice little boost. The level 19 feature will be your Epic Boon for all classes, and then at level 20, you get Greater Divine Intervention. And this should really be called True Divine Intervention. Now, instead of using a level 5 Cleric spell, you can just cast Wish. And if you do this, you do have to wait 2d4s long rest before you can do the Wish spell again. Apparently even the gods need time to recharge after that. But really cool capstone. You can just cast a Wish at worst case once a week in game. So pretty awesome capstone. Let's hop into the subclasses. We're going to start with the Life Domain, and these are the healers of the D&D multiverse and a pain in the DM's butt. At level 3, you get a couple of different features. All clerics at level 3 are going to get a specific spell list to the domain that they pick, and that list will go up at 5, 7, and 9 as you go, and you always have these spells prepared. In the Life Domain at level 3, you get Aid, Bless, Cure Wounds, and Lesser Restoration. At level 5, you get Mass Healing Word and Revivify. At 7, you get Aura of Life and Death Ward. And at 9, you get Greater Restoration and Mass Cure Wounds. So a very healer-oriented spell list there, as you would expect from a Life Domain. The next feature at level 3 that you get is Disciple of Life. And that is when you heal with a spell that takes a spell slot. You heal for 2 plus the spell's level. So if you cast a 3rd level spell, that heal will have an extra 5 on top of it. So just a little bit extra healing for you. And the last level 3 feature is called Preserve Life. As a magic action, you can present your holy symbol and use one of your channel divinities to heal HP equal to 5 times your cleric level. The one caveat is that it only works on bloodied creatures, and so a bloodied creature is someone that is under half HP. But you can split it up between all bloodied creatures that are on the battlefield and within 30 feet of yourself. So a pretty big heal there. Your level 6 feature is called Blessed Healer, and it's going to be very similar to your Disciple of Life feature. Now when you cast a spell that's at least level 1 or higher, you can add 2 plus the spell's level to your own HP when you heal others. And at level 17, you're going to get your capstone for this subclass, and it's called Supreme Healing. When you would normally roll die to recover health points, you now just heal for the max of whatever that spell was. So if the spell was plus 2d6, you just do 12 without having to roll. So your heals are always going to be perfect, which is to be expected with this subclass. The Light Domain is all about keeping everyone else and yourself alive through the fights. The next subclass we're going over is the Light Domain. And if you don't have electricity, the way you make light is fire, and that's mostly what these clerics are based off of. At level 3, you get your cleric spell list, and that's going to start off with Burning Hands, Fairy Fire, Scorching Ray, and See Invisibility. Level 5, you're going to get Daylight and Fireball as a cleric, which is always fun. At 7, you get Arcane Eye and the Wall of Fire. And at level 9, you get Flaming Strike and Scrying. These are almost the exact same list as the old Cleric subclass of Light. The only difference is See Invisibility instead of the Flaming Spear, and Arcane Eye now instead of Guardian of Faith. So that's the 2 changes there. The next level 3 feature that you get is Radiance of Dawn. As a magic action, you can present your holy symbol and emit a flash of light 30 feet from you in all directions. This dispels magical darkness, and any creatures that you pick in the area must make a con save or take 2d10 plus your cleric level of radiant damage. They get to take half on a save. So a nice little blast of radiant light going out there for 2d10. The last level 3 feature is called Warding Flare. You get to impose disadvantage on an attack that's within 30 feet of you. This used to be only on attacks that were against you, so now you can use it to help save your allies as opposed to just stopping yourself from taking damage. It's linked to Wisdom mod for how many times you can do this, so if you got 16, you get 3 times per long rest, and you get all uses of this back when you finish that long rest. At level 6, you get improved warding flare. Now when you finish a short or a long rest, you're going to get your uses of warding flare back. And the other cheese on top of this is that whoever you target with this to protect or impose disadvantage on the person that's actually attacking them, that person gets to add 2d6 plus your wisdom mod back in temporary HP, which works out to be a nice little Uno reversal. You're supposed to get hit, then you get disadvantage, and now that guy has more HP than when you started. So it's a really handy little ability, I think. Your level 17 capstone in the light domain is going to be Corona of Light. You emit an aura of sunlight for 1 minute. It's bright light for 60-foot radius on you and 30-foot dim light on top of that, so you've got a 90-foot area of sight now. The enemies in the bright light have disadvantage on saves against your Radiance of the Dawn and any spell that deals radiance or fire damage. And you can do this equal to your wisdom mod, and you get all uses of this back when you finish a long rest. I think this would be a really fun cleric class to play. It's kind of like a hybrid fire-based wizard with, medium armor, or if you wanted to go the protector route, you could be wearing heavy armor and shield and have a big armor class, and then you still get to cast all these fire spells and light and radiant spells. I think it's going to do a lot of damage and have good survivability, and it's still a cleric, so it's always got all those good healing and support spells that come with a cleric spell list. The next subclass for Cleric is the Trickery domain, and if you ever wanted to be a rogue but couldn't pull the trigger on not having spells, this will be the one for you. Starting at level 3, you're going to get your spell list like all the other Cleric classes, and your level 3 spells for this one will start with Charm Person, Disguise Self, Invisibility, and Pass Without a Trace. Really good spells for keeping you hidden. At level 5, you get Hypnotic Pattern and Non-Detection. And then at level 7, you get Confusion and Dimensional Door. And at 9, you get Dominate Person and Modify Memory. So you get a spell list that's really based on manipulating people, keeping yourself hidden, keeping your party hidden. All the things that you would expect with people who are tricky. Alright, the first level 3 feature, and I think this is going to be broken and abused like crazy, is called Blessing of the Trickster. As a magic action, you can choose yourself or another party member that's within 30 feet of you, and they have advantage on stealth checks. And here's the kicker for it and why I think it's going to be broken. This lasts until you cast it again or finish a long rest. So each day, one person in your party is always going to have advantage on stealth checks. This ability used to only last 1 hour, so it couldn't be abused like that, but now you just cast it and it's always up basically after level 3. Your other level 3 feature is going to be Invoke Duplicity. You can use one of your channeled divinities as a bonus action to make a perfect illusion of yourself within 30 feet. It lasts for a minute, it doesn't take up the space it's in, and while it's out, you get the following benefits. You can cast spells through it, but you have to use your own eyes for the sight. You can use your duplicate image to distract, and if you and the illusion are within 5 feet of a target, you get advantage on it since it's distracted by the illusion and doesn't know which one's real. You can also use your bonus action to move it up to 30 feet per turn, and the illusion has to stay within 120 feet of you or it vanishes. Your level 6 feature is called Trickster's Transportation, and this is super duper cool. Now, when you take the bonus action to create or move your illusion of Invoke Duplicity, you can teleport and swap places with it. So you're like an Echo Knight now, bouncing around to each of your little mirrored images of yourself. At level 17, you get your capstone. It's called Improved Duplicity. And now your allies get advantage or if they are within 5 feet of your illusion. And when your illusion ends, you or a creature within 5 feet of it regain HP equal to your cleric level. So at least 17 at this point. This subclass doesn't have a whole lot of things going on. Everything works around your new duplicate image. But at the same time, it seems like it would be so much fun to play in combat, being able to put out a duplicate of yourself and then teleporting back and forth across the battlefield, casting spells, and then when it ends, you get HP back. Of all the stuff we've went over so far, I think this class begs to be multi-classed into Rogue. It just seems like they were made for each other. If you got to use your image to give yourself advantage, you would have your sneak attack at all times. I'd probably do 3 classes of Cleric and then switch to Rogue and then jump back into Cleric until you got up to level 6 for the Trickster's Transportation. That way you'd have your sneak attacks, have your duplicate running around. It just seems like a match made in heaven. Okay, so we've got the cleric that's a healer, the cleric that's the firecaster, we got the cleric that really wants to be a rogue, and now it's time for the cleric that wants to get in there and smash some faces. It's time for the war domain. We'll start off with your spell list at level 3, and these are the same as they used to be. You get Guiding Bolt, Magic Weapon, Shield of Faith, and Spiritual Weapon. Level 5 is also the same. You get Crusader's Mantle and Spirit Guardians. At level 7, you get Freedom of Movement and Fire Shield. Fire Shield is a new one. The old one was Stone Skin, and this is a nice upgrade because Stone Skin was a concentration spell and Fire Shield is not, so that frees you up for Spiritual Weapon or whatever else you want to concentrate on. And then at level 9, you get Hold Monster and Steel Wind Strike. Steel Wind Strike used to be Flame Strike, and I like this because the new one is based off attack rolls instead of saves, and it does force damage instead of fire damage, which is always an upgrade. Plus, with Steel Wind Strike, you get to teleport away, and you get to designate which creatures it hits, so you can't do friendly fire. I think that one's a big upgrade there. The channel divinity you get with this class is called Guided Strike, and when you or an ally within 30 feet misses, you can use that to give that roll a plus 10 to hit. If you do this on an ally, it counts as your reaction for that round. The other level 3 feature you get is called War Priest, and with this you can make a weapon attack as a bonus action, and you can do this a number of times equal to your Wisdom mod. This lets you get that extra attack feel that you would from a fighter or a paladin or another martial class. I think that's really nice little ability here. The level 6 feature for this class has been changed completely. It's now called War God's Blessing, and I think this is going to be a huge upgrade. It used to be you could add plus 10 to an ally's attack roll or your attack roll, and that's been added into Guiding Strikes that you got at level 3 now. And what this does with the new ability is you can use a Channel Divinity to cast Shield of Faith or Spiritual Weapon, and it doesn't take a spell slot. And here's the joy of it that we've always wanted, is this does not require concentration. I think this is going to make War Clerics absolute monsters on the front line of the battlefield because they'll always either be able to have Shield of Faith up or their Spiritual Weapon, and never have to worry about taking that big hit or making a bad roll on a con saving throw, which we've all had happen, and it sucks when it does. Not anymore if you're playing this subclass. When you use this ability, it lasts for 1 minute, which, let's face it, is more time than you ever need for any encounter in a D&D game. The level 17 capstone for this subclass is the Avatar of Battle, and now you gain resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage. And if I'm reading this correctly, it doesn't say from non-magical effects, so all bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage, and that's a really nice capstone feature, I think. You're basically taking half damage from any melee attack. This is going to be one of those classes that is going to really be able to tank well. The ability of casting things without having to worry about con saves is a huge boon. Anyone who's played a cleric knows that can be a real problem, especially if you've boosted wisdom, don't have a con as high as you'd like it to be. So I think this fixes that for this class, and I think they're going to make great tanks. Who doesn't love the Dwarf Cleric in full plate with a shield, spiritual weapon, and a hammer, beating stuff up, doing all kinds of cool stuff. I have to say I really like what they've done with the Cleric subclasses. We got 4 very diverse and different classes that really spreads out what you can do with a Cleric. You got the Life Domain, it's going to make great healers. You got the Light Domain, they're going to be a caster doing spell damage like a sorcerer or a wizard, and then you got the trickster doing roguish type things, and then you got this guy doing the melee stuff. I think it's a really well balanced group. I think they did a good job on the pick of subclasses for the cleric. Now it's time for the homebrew item of the week. This week's homebrew item is the Potion of Unseeable Night. And when this cork on this potion is opened or the glass is broken, it will latch on to the closest person, and for 1 minute, they have shadow movement. Shadows give you 3/4 cover, and as a bonus action, you can leap from a shadow to a different shadow that's within 60 feet. You have advantage on melee attacks when attacking from the shadows. And one time during that minute, you can make an attack roll firing a shadow line, and if it hits, it will draw one person into the shadows, and like Batman, they just never return. You don't have to do anything else. That person's just taken off the battlefield. I do have a few caveats for this as a DM. I don't let them pull away important characters that are needed for storyline or anything that is big, like a boss, even though it's medium or small. And other than that, it's a really fun item to give to somebody. Let them sneak around, bounce from place to place in the shadows, being all sneaky. Okay, now it's time to go over the Paladin, my favorite D&D class, and this one has been changed a whole lot, so let's get into it. At level 1, you get your Lay on Hands ability, and you get a couple of new things. You get to start casting spells at level 1, and you get 2 prepared spells, and you have 2 level 1 spell slots to cast them with. And you get to pick 2 weapon masteries right here. And as a Paladin, you can change your weapon masteries at the end of a long rest if you so choose. The one thing that's missing here is you no longer get Divine Sense at level 1. That's been changed. And then at level 2, you get to pick your fighting style just like you used to. And then you get Paladin Smite. So same as the old class, but Divine Smite has been reworked into Paladin Smite. So let's hop into that, as that is the biggest change and what Paladins are known for. So the way they've done this, the Paladin Smite ability lets you have Divine Smite spell always prepared. It's a first level spell, but it's no longer linked to the attack like the Divine Smite spell used to be. It is now a bonus action. And it still starts out at 2d8 radiant damage and goes up by 1d8 per level over level 1 spell slots. That's the same as it did, and it does an extra d8 to undead or fiends. That's the same as it was also. The main change with this is that this is a bonus action spell now instead of just an add-on to an attack. So you will only be able to smite once per turn. And this is going to be huge because Paladins get extra attacks. And if you were like a polearm specialist, you would have 3 attacks at level 5. And now you're only going to be able to smite on one of those attacks. So my home game right now has a Vengeance Paladin in it, and he's a polearm master. And I'm going to do a little breakdown on how big a difference a 2014 to 2024 polearm master Paladin will do. Right now he has 2 attacks, and so that's a D10 plus 3 because his strength's low. He went all cha. And then a 1d4 plus 3 on the butt end. And so the average of his 2 attacks, if they hit, will be 23 per round. And let's say he smites 3 times with the max level spells. So that'll be 2 level 2 smites on the first attack. And that'll be 8d8 after all 3 smites for that. And that'll be an average of 40. So the total average damage that he's doing right now, and that's a Nova round where he's blowing every smite he can, is going to be around 63. And that's a massive hit for a level 5 character. Now let's look at the new rules for the PHB in 2024. So he's got 2 attacks, the same average, 1d10 plus 3. That average will be 15 because he doesn't get to add the butt end anymore because he loses that ability to cast a smite because they share action economy. Is like polearm master on a paladin is really going to be nerfed hard. And then he gets 1 level 2 smite as the bonus action, and that's a 2d8 for an average of 9. So the total average on this turn of the new Paladin is going to be 24. This is a massive reduction in damage, and it's probably one that needed to be nerfed a little bit, but that's basically a third of what they used to be doing. So it's a pretty big nerf on the Paladins being able to go in there and just drop that 1-round Nova Bomb like they used to, but they do get some other new stuff, and there's some other changes in the way their mounts work and other things, so let's check those out. Okay, at level 3, you're going to get your subclasses, and Paladins will also get their channel divinities along with their subclass. They're different for each of those. I'll break those down as we go over each subclass. Here you also get a 4th prepared spell, and you get a 3rd level 1 slot. At level 4, you get your stat point increase or take a feat, and you get a 5th prepared spell. At level 5, this is where you get to start shining. You get your extra attack. You get 6 prepared spells. You get 4 level 1 slots, and you get 2 level 2 slots, so you're starting to get those nice smites. And then you get the Faithful Steed feature, which you always have Find Steed spell prepared, and you can cast it once a day without using a spell slot, which is always cool. So, when you do the Find Steed now, you get to summon an otherworldly being that is a loyal steed, and it has a stat block that's in the PHB now that lets you pick Celestial, Fey, or Fiend. And they all get different traits based on what you choose. It gets stats based on what level spell slot you use to summon it. And each of the 3 types do different types of damage and get a special ability. The Celestial does radiant damage when it attacks, and it has the Healing Touch ability that heals 1 creature for 2d8 plus whatever summoning spell level that you use for it. The Fae does psychic damage, and you get a mounted Misty Step, which I think sounds amazing, where you and the rider can both teleport 60 feet. And if you choose Fiend, it does necrotic damage, and you can use your mount to frighten a target one time a day. It must make a wisdom save, and the spell DC is based off your seat. And when you summon the mount with a level 4 spell or higher, you can summon a version that has a fly speed added to it. So each of these will be able to fly. And the cool flavor of this is you get to claim it's celestial, but if you want it to be a giant white dire wolf, you can do that. It's just whatever you pick. You pick a type and you pick a mount. I just love the idea of a wood elf paladin summon a giant elk, making it fey. It just has such a nice, all them good feels from the flavor of it. At level 6, you're going to get your Aura of Protection, and everyone within 10 feet of you can add your Charisma bonus modifier to the saves that they make. And this effect doesn't stack, so if you have multiple paladins in the party, only the one with the highest Charisma gets to use their Protection Aura. At level 7, you get extra prepared spells. You're up to 7 now. Level 8, like always, is going to be your stat point increase, or you can pick a feat. And then at level 9, you get Abjure Foes. And this is a new one. It used to be worked in as part of the Vengeant Paladin Oath, but now all Paladins get it. And as a magic action, you can use a Channel Divinity, and a number of creatures equal to your Charisma mod must make a Wisdom saving throw against your spell DC or be frightened for 1 minute, or until it takes damage. Creatures frightened this way can do one of 3 things. They can move, action, or bonus action. So it's kind of unique fear, as in it really hamstrings on what they are able to do. Also at this level, you get 2 level 3 spell slots. Hooray! Big smites. That's always nice as a paladin. At level 10, you get an Aura of Courage, and friendly creatures in your Aura of Protection are now immune to fear and charm, and creatures that are feared or charmed that move into that have that condition suppressed when they are in the aura. At level 11, you get Radiant Strikes, and this is replacing Improved Divine Smite, but it does the same thing, just new name. Whenever you hit with a weapon or an unarmed attack, you can add 1d8 radiant damage on top of it. Level 12 will be your next stat point increase. And at level 13, you get your level 4 spell slots, which means that you can now use your otherworldly steed and summon it with a flying ability if you want to burn that spell slot in that way. Level 14, you get Restoring Touch. This used to be Cleansing Touch, but works a bit differently now. It's based off your Lay on Hands ability. And when you use your Lay on Hands ability, you can cure blind, charmed, deafened, frightened, paralyzed, or stunned. And it takes 5 HP from the Lay on Hands pool to do each one of those. So if someone's blinded and stunned, it would take 10 HP to do it. One thing to note about this is that cleansing that does not heal the character that you're doing it. So if someone's stunned and you use 5 HP for that, they didn't get any heal out of it. It just removed the stun. So there's that to keep in mind as you do it. At 15, you get your second level 4 spell slot. And at 16, you get your other stat point increase. At 17, you get your first 5th level spell slot, which is always nice. That's as high as you're going to be able to go as a paladin. And at level 18, you get an aura expansion, and your Aura of Protection and Aura of Courage go out to 30 feet now instead of the 10. And you get your last level 5 spell slot here. So you'll have 2 level 5s at this point. Level 19 will be your Epic Boon. And Paladins are a little different on the level 20 capstones. They're different for each of the subclasses, and we'll go over those as we go over each individual one. The first subclass will be the Oath of Devotion, and these are going to be your Knights in Shining Armor. They're the Superman and Captain Americas of the D&D world. They're the Dudley Do-Rights. If you're doing a heist, it's best to have these Holy Avengers stand watch. Otherwise, you're going to break in, and then they'll have you sweeping up the glass from the window you broke, dusting the bedroom while you're there that you were meant to rob, and leaving money in the alms box on your way out of town to make amends for the sins you've committed. A lot of these paladins will integrate deities into their oaths, and their tenets are as follows. Let your word be your promise, protect the weak, and never be afraid to act, and let your honorable deeds be an example. Just like the clerics, each of the subclasses of paladins is going to have a set of spells based off of what oath they've taken. And at level 3 is a devotion paladin. At level 3, you're going to get protection from good and evil and shield of faith. And then at level 5, you get aid and zone of truth. At 9, you get beacon of hope and dispel magic. 13 gives you freedom of movement and guardian of faith. And at 17, you get command and flame strike. At level 3, you also get your channeled divinity, and for devotion, yours is sacred weapon. And when you take the attack action, you can use your channeled divinity to imbue your weapon with positive energy, and for 10 minutes when you attack, you can add your charisma mod to the damage that it can deal. It can be a type of normal or radiant when you do this extra damage. Your weapon also emits light for 20 feet in bright light, and then a dim 20 feet on top of that. And this effect ends if you sheath your weapon or aren't holding it anymore. At level 7, as a Devotion Paladin, you get the Aura of Devotion. You and your allies are immune to charm while inside your Aura of Protection, and if a charmed creature enters that aura, they have the charm condition suppressed while they're there. This does not seem like that great of ability to me. All Paladins are going to get this at level 10 when their Aura of Courage pops off, so it's really the same ability. You're just getting it 3 levels early. Seems kind of a waste of a feature on a subclass, but you know, it's what you got. At level 15, you get the Smite of Protection. Your smites now radiate protective energy. When you cast Divine Smite, you and your allies have half cover while in your Aura of Protection, and this lasts till the start of your next turn. This seems pretty nice. That's going to be like a +2 to armor class for half cover. It's like a baby shield at all times. It's really good. And then at level 20, you get your Capstone, and that comes with your subclass, and yours is Holy Nimbus. And as a bonus action, you can imbue your Aura of Protection with Holy Power, granting benefits for 10 minutes. This used to be 1 minute, so now it lasts a lot longer. That's nice. You can do this 1 time per long rest, or you can burn a level 5 spell slot and get it back. And here's what you get with this. You get Holy Ward, and you have advantage on any saving throw that you're forced to make from a fiend or undead. Radiant damage. Whenever an enemy starts a turn in an aura, that creature takes radiant damage equal to your charisma mod plus your proficiency bonus. This could add up to be pretty substantial passive damage. You have 20 charisma right now, that'll be 5 from the mod, and at level 20 you have a 6 proficiency, so that's 11 damage to everything that starts a turn around you. That's a pretty good chunk of passive damage for not doing anything. And the third and final thing that Holy Nimbus gives you is that your aura is now filled with bright sunlight. So you'll always be able to see, which is always good if you're a human or don't have dark vision. Overall, this will be a subclass of Paladin to play if you're looking to be the paragon of justice and the person that's always doing good. And I feel like this one just leads itself into being a lawful good Paladin, like old school style. Probably not the strongest of the subclasses they gave us, but it's a good one for the flavor if you like that. The next oath will be the Oath of Glory, and these are the people that put their names in the Goblet of Fire. Eternal glory, heroic deeds are what these strive for, and not just for themselves. They strive for it for the whole team and everyone around them. At level 3, you're going to get your spell list, and here you get Guiding Bolt and Heroism. At level 5, you get Enhanced Ability and Magic Weapon. 9, you get Haste and Protection from Energy. 13, you get Compulsion and Freedom of Movement. And at 17, you get Legend Lore and Yolanda's Regal Presence. Your channel divinity for this subclass will be Inspiring Smite. And immediately after you cast Divine Smite, you can spend a channel divinity and distribute temp HP to creatures within 30 feet of you. And this includes yourself. The temp HP is equal to 2d8 plus your Paladin level. So that's pretty nice. You also are considered a peerless athlete, and as a bonus action, you can use your channel divinity, and for 1 hour, you have advantage on athletics and acrobatics checks, and the distance of your long jumps and high jumps go up by 10 feet. At level 7, you get the Aura of Alacrity, and this, your speed goes up by 10 feet, and when any ally enters your Aura of Protection for the first time or starts their turn there, they get plus 10 speed also, and they get this until the end of their next turn, so it'll always last for 2 turns for them. I think this is such a great ability, plus 10 speed for everybody in your party that starts off, and if you're starting a fight and everyone's beside you for 2 rounds, they've got plus 10 speed, which is just great. It's such a better ability than the last one's level 7 aura boost was, I think. At level 15, you get the feature called Glorious Defense, and when you or another creature you can see within 10 feet of you is hit by an attack roll, you can take your reaction and grant a bonus AC that's equal to your Charisma mod. And here's the best part of this. If this causes the attack to miss, you can now take your reaction to make 1 melee attack if you're within range of the attacker. And you can do this a number of times equal to your Charisma mod, and you get them all back on a long rest. Your level 20 capstone for this oath is Living Legend, and you can empower yourself with legends. Whether true or exaggerated, you get to pick, but you get to tell of your great deeds. And as a bonus action, you get these 3 benefits for 10 minutes. You can do this once per long rest, and just like the last class, you can spend a level 5 spell slot and get this ability back if you want. The 3 abilities you get are Charismatic. An otherworldly presence gives you advantage on all charisma checks that you make for the 10 minutes. You get a saving throw reroll, whereas if you fail a saving throw, you can take your reaction and re-roll it, but you must use the new one. And you get Unerring Strikes. And this is nice because on each of your turns, when you make an attack roll with a weapon, if it misses, you can just make it auto hit. And that's once per turn for 10 minutes, which is really good. I think this is going to be a really middle of the road of the 4 that they gave us. I'd probably put it as my 3rd favorite of the new subclasses that we have. That being said, I think this oath leads itself to being the most fun to play out of combat because of the bolsterous, braggart running around telling the good deeds of all his mates and himself and herself. And I think it would just be a really fun class to roleplay. Plus, it's Paladin, and you still got all the cool abilities that Pallies get, and they get a really nice spell list. So I like this subclass. Our 3rd oath will be the Oath of the Ancients, and these are the paladins that preserve life and cherish beauty. If a Master Gardener and a Cleric had a baby, this would be it. At level 3, you get Ensnaring Strike and Speak with Animals. 5 is Misty Step and Moonbeam. Level 9 is Plant Growth and Protection from Energy. 13 is Ice Storm and Stone Skin. At level 17, you get Commune with Nature and Tree Stride. I think this is one of my favorite spell lists of the Paladins. Level 3 spells are kind of okay, and Staring Strike is a bonus, and with the new weapon masteries, you're probably better off using something that can knock them prone and then dropping a smite instead of burning your bonus action on that. But I do love the level 5 spells. Misty Step and Moonbeam are just always such OP spells in D&D. And then at level 9, I really like the Plant Growth spell because it gives you a 100-foot radius, and that is so big. And it's super difficult terrain because they move 1 foot for every 4 foot of movement, so they're moving at 25% speed. This is going to give your range a ton of time to take people out. And then at the end, Communing with Nature is always very niche, but Tree Move is super fun to play around with. 500-foot range on that. You can teleport. That's just insane. I don't even know we have maps that are big enough for a 500-foot teleport to even be feasible. The Channel Divinity you're going to get at level 3 is Nature's Wrath, and your Channel Divinity conjures spectral vines around creatures of your choice within 15 feet of you, and they must make a strength save or be restrained for 1 minute, and they get to retry the save at each of the ends of their turns. And this is going to be a very nice AoE just lockdown. You can run out in the middle. If you get to go first, you could Tree Stride out in the middle or Misty Step out in the middle, and then lock everyone down with this right off the bat. At level 7, you get Aura of Warding. Your Aura of Protections give you and your allies resistance to necrotic, psychic, and radiant damage while in your aura. Those are 3 that are always good to be able to resist, so that's also nice. At level 15, you get a feature called Undying Sentinel. And when you hit 0 HP, if you aren't totally dead, like double your HP in the negative, you can drop to 1 instead, and then you get to regain HP equal to 3 times your Paladin level. This can only happen once per long rest. And so since you're getting this at level 15, that means when you die, if they can't just one-shot you into your, rolling a new character, you're going to come back with 45 HP. That's really good. Also with this ability, you can't be aged magically anymore, and you cease to age visibly. At level 20, you get your capstone, and you are the Elder Champion. And as a bonus action, you can imbue your aura to give you 3 benefits for 1 minute, and you can do this once per long rest, or you can burn the level 5 spell slot, just like all classes. And the 3 abilities that you get with this are Diminished Defense. Enemies in your aura have disadvantage on saving throws against your spells and your Channel Divinity options. You get Regeneration, and at the start of your turn, you regen 10 HP. And then this is the fun one. You get Swift Spells. When you cast a spell that has a casting time of 1 action, you can cast it as a bonus action. So basically, for this whole minute, you have Quicken Spell on. That's really awesome. I think if I was picking a Paladin, this is the one I like the most. It's got great flavor, I love the spell list, and all the abilities seem very good utility. You're going to be great at slowing things down. If you take like Sap and Slow as weapon masteries with all the ability of Lockdown, nobody's getting to your backline. I think this one would be a great tank and really fun to play. Okay, for the final oath, we have the Oath of Vengeance. And it's time for some people to be punished. And if you need that to happen, these are the guys and gals to send in. No mercy for the wicked, stop injustice, and help the little guys. Unless any of that gets in way of going after the big bad guys. These are the paladins that will use the ends to justify the means. And if you want to play a paladin that doesn't have to be lawful, these guys really lend themselves to being chaotic, whether neutral or good. Be a great pick if that's the alignment that you want to go. So like all the classes, we'll go over your spell list first. And I have to say this is a really good spell list too. I like it a lot. At level 3, you get Bane and you get Hunter's Mark as a paladin, which I would be really interested to see how Hunter's Mark ups the damage of a Vengeance paladin, kind of make up some of the lost damage from the not being able to multiple smite. At level 5, you get Hold Person and Misty Step. At level 9, you get Haste and Protection from Energy. Level 13 gives you Banishment and Dimensional Door. And level 17 gives you Hold Person and Scrying. I mean, this is a dynamite list of spells. I may have spoken too soon on the Ancient Pally. This one may be my favorite. They're probably just kind of depends on how you want to play. This is going to be a lot more damage based, and the last one's going to be a little more protection based. So both have really good spell lists. Either one will work. Just kind of depends on your type of play. So the Channel Divinity you get at level 3 is the Vow of Enmity. And when you attack, you can use your Channel Divinity to utter a vow, and one creature within 30 feet of you for 1 minute, you have advantage when you attack that creature. And if it dies, you can transfer that to a new creature, free action, which is going to be interesting because then you can use your bonus action to transfer your Hunter's Mark and just keep that damage rolling. At level 7, you get a feature called Relentless Avenger. And if you hit a creature with an opportunity attack, you can reduce the creature's speed to 0 until the end of this turn. And then you get to move up to half your speed without provoking opportunity attacks, which is always, muy bueno. At level 15, you get the Soul of Vengeance. Immediately after a creature under your Vow of Enmity hits or misses you with an attack roll, you can use your reaction to make a melee attack against that creature if it's in range. And I think it's interesting, this does not say that you get to make an opportunity attack, so this should not trigger your Relentless Avenger. This is just another type of attack. It's not actually taking your opportunity attack. It is taking your reaction, though. So, all right, for the capstone of the Vengeance Paladin, you become the Avenging Angel. And as a bonus action, for 10 minutes, you can give yourself a couple of extra abilities. You can do this once per long rest, and you can burn that level 5 spell slot and get it back if you so choose. The first ability is Flight, and this is the old Paladin capstone. You sprout wings, and you have a fly speed of 60 feet with hover, which is always what you need. That way you can't be knocked prone. And you get this for the full 10 minutes. And the other one is you get a Frightful Aura. When an enemy starts its turn in your Aura of Protection, it must make a Wisdom save or be frightened for a minute or until it takes damage. And attacks against this frightened creature have advantage. So that's very nice. So Paladins always had a special place in my heart. My first World of Warcraft character was a Paladin. Shout out to Riser of Valeria. And I've loved them ever since. In D&D, I love the fun roleplay that they add to the party with the antics that go on with the big plate monster, the paragon of justice, trying to keep everybody in line as those murder hobos go and do their thing. Or depending on what oath they are, maybe they're murder hoboing right along with them. As a DM, I really like having paladins at the table. You can drop some huge monsters on the party and feel pretty confident that with the endurance and capabilities of a paladin, that the party's going to make it through. That being said, I normally kill the paladin at my home table more than anyone else, but I haven't been able to drop that old coup de grace on him and make him roll a new character. But it's coming, Alistair. You wait. I'm really interested to see how the new paladins work out with the new rules on smites. The better mounts look like they're going to be an absolute blast to play with. I can see a bunch of Paladins picking the Cavalier style fighting class now. I don't think they're going to be as early game OP as they were, but they still have a lot going for them, and the way they've set up the aura of protections to be kind of expanded, I think they're still going to be a force to be reckoned with at the table. Well, folks, that's it for this episode of Dragons and Dice. Thanks for listening, and if you like what we're doing here, please like, subscribe, or leave a review. It really helps with exposure of a new show. So until next time, may your D20s roll high, and may your DMs be kind.